Okay, people, so now it is November 9th. Pretty sure it's the 9th. It's Saturday. And I'm thinking. It's about 7:30 in the morning, something like that. The light is coming. It's not raining outside, and it probably won't be that cold because we're kind of in a warm spell right now. So at some point today, I have to get outside and just tidy up with the back. Not anything major, right? I can't be out there for hours and hours and hours. But I can do some miscellaneous stuff, you know, maybe take out that hook, right? And just little things like that. The little things that, when you do little things, it doesn't seem like you accomplished very much in a day, right? You know, some days you just like, I've been going all day, but I haven't accomplished anything. It doesn't feel like you've accomplished anything. When in fact, those little things, they do start to add up, right? So you just don't see it, right? You don't see it like if you put on a roof, if you wash the roof, you know, and you do all that, and it takes pretty much all day, and you wash off the balcony and blah, and right, then you feel like you accomplished something. But when you're going around just doing dickly little pickly things, you know, you don't, at the end of the day, you're like, you know, a whole day and didn't accomplish anything. I think it might be one of those days for me. And being that it might be one of those days for me, I have decided that what I'm going to do, and depending on how long this video is, because we don't know what kind of tangent I'm going to go on, because there is something I do want to touch on before I end this video. And when I talk about that subject, I'm not too sure how long I'm going to talk on about it, because I have my own feelings, right? But before we get to that, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, you know, like, you're tired, you've been outside for a week, right? You know, once you get out there, you know, obviously it's okay, right? My eyes adjust to the light, right? Because I go from dark to bright, right? From bright to dark. And, you know, when I initially go in from a dark environment into a bright environment with the same glasses on, right? It takes about a half an hour to an hour for my eyes to adjust where I'm not so dizzy. And then that's when you see me climbing up on things, and because I'm outside in the fresh air, and you know, I've been going now for a while, and I'm okay, right? But when I come in, well, I've been physical activity all day, right? So I'm, you know, pretty tired, right? So, you know, keeping that in mind for today, I think what I'm going to do is, after I get off of here, I'm going to tune 2 guitars. And this is why I'm kind of doing this video, because I just wanted to say that, right? I'm gonna tune the smaller one that I have. I have lots of guitars around the house, people. So I'll start with these 2 first, and then my guitar, right? They're just acoustics, nothing fancy. And I'm going to start teaching Andre chords. Today is the day, right? He likes to watch way too much TV, people. His mother was the same way, for whatever reason. And so, you know, I'm just going to do that today with him. So at some point you may see me, right? Why not? It's just one of those little things that I have to do today, right? You know what I mean? Not everything has to be like I'm sorting out clothes right now. A little pile here, a little pile there, right? Because when you're outside, things on the inside start to pile up. And when you get a handle on the things on the outside, on the inside, I should say, you know, then everything on the outside starts to pile up. Doesn't matter if it's weeds, whatever it is, right? It all starts to, people throwing things around, you know, raccoons coming and crashing shit, and fences blowing down, and just, you know, crazy crap, right? So by the time you get out there, you're like, damn, like, what the hell happened? But you're expected to clean it up, right? So that's when it comes to those little piddly things, right? So I'm going to do piddly things inside, outside. But I think I'm going to bring out the guitar and start teaching Andre just basic chords, you know, because what happens is, you know, I'm always busy, right? behind on everything in life these days for whatever reason, pretty much. You know, trying to, you know, put on that brave face, right? As if you're in control when, you know, basically, you know, it depends, right? It depends on what it is. And even then, when you know it's out of control, you hope that nobody else notices, like, you know, like that particular corner of the yard where, you know, just right over there, right? You know, I haven't quite finished organizing it. I lined up the, what do you call those things? Vinyl, right? The ones that slipped. And, you know, that took up a whole day. I was weeding and everything out there, right? People don't see that part. They see the part that I hadn't got to yet, right? So you hope in your mind that they don't notice it, even though you know that particular corner of your life is out of control and you just haven't had time to get there and organize it. No. My life is kind of like that. Just this, you know, 10 years ago, people, I moved in. I had a big yard. I wanted to give my family a sense of quality living with anemones, you know, like extra stuff, like the fish pond, and obviously we came in with the rabbit hutch, and, you know, the fire pit, and then it was greenhouse, and now it's a, you know, hen house, aka something else, and, you know, like just stuff like that. And now that I'm here, you know, and it requires maintenance, right? Climbing up on roofs is maintenance. Washing things down is maintenance, right? So guess what I've decided to do with some of that maintenance? That big glass that is actually a tempera. It's not plexi. It's supposed to be a tempera glass, which is very expensive glass because it's designed that if you hit it, instead of sharding, it shatters, right? So there's less injury to whatever is around that piece of particular glass when it breaks. Less injury, right? Less chance of injury. That's why we were going to use it for the greenhouse. But ended up getting, you know, I had so many windows to choose from. The windows that ended up on the greenhouse is what ended up on the greenhouse. And this one other window, like I swear, how long has that greenhouse been up for? 5 years? 6 years? That greenhouse has been up for quite a long time, and that piece of glass has been kicking around my yard since. So I'm thinking before I smash it to get rid of it, I should phone up some glass companies, right? And see if maybe they'll just come to my house and do a sweep in my yard and pick up the glass that I don't need, because I've got like 2 sets of shower doors, right? And I've got table glass, really nice, couple of really nice table glass. You know, when people throw out their tables, right? And it's got those nice round cut, thick, really thick glass. You know, stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't think my son would ever use it for anything. I mean, he could make a glass table with 1 or 2 of them with his wood. Actually, I might suggest that to him, because the one larger piece of glass that I got from the house over here, the little house, you know, it's sitting on the side of the house here. And I know my son was talking about, insulating the garage a bit more, right? In terms of building a wall with an actual door, right? So he could do a little bit of woodwork out there. That's why he kind of wants me to clear out more stuff, right? And, you know, putting that glass on the one side there of this side of the garage, and then I already have a door, right? There's the door you've got, and it's a big, you know, it's a fairly big it's a big window, right? So it allow the light to come in, which is what you need in that garage. And then before we do it, though, I don't know how many beams there are, maybe 4 or 5 beams on that very far end of the porch. Change them. Change the beams. And at the time when you're changing the beams, just build in the frame for the window and the door, and boom, bam, bing, you're done. Right? I mean, that's practical. right? So I'll keep the window, like that kind of a window. If my son wants to make tables, I suppose I'll show him on Monday. I'll say, look, there's this piece of glass, this piece of glass. Do you want it? Because if you don't want it, one man's junk is another man's treasure. And then I'm just going to get up on the phone and start phoning glass places and have them just come pick up what I don't need, right? Because I can't justify standing there with a hammer, bing, and then the whole temper glass just shatters, and then I go through life kicking myself in the ass for being wasteful, right? You know what I mean? If nobody comes to pick it up, people, well, I may not have a choice. But if somebody is willing to come pick it up and see it as a gift to them in terms of, wow, I got lucky today kind of thing, then I think that's the better road to go on when it comes to the glass. So, with that said, that means that I can't move it because I'm thinking, okay, you can do that, but where the hell are you going to move it in the meantime because you want to build up this little corner with this wood? And I'm like in my mind trying to tuck it in here. And this is a big, long piece of glass, people. And I'm just in my mind, I can just, walk it over here with Marcane and, move a few things. And then we can just slowly and surely, but slide it in between the wall and the wood I have on the side of the house. And it can just sit there until, and I'm like, that's a hassle, man. He'll just get mad, right? we wouldn't even get it halfway in before it'd get broken. So that wouldn't work, and that would be the only place I could put it anywhere on this property without it getting broken. So it's going to have to sit there until I could find somebody to take it, basically. Or I break it, one or the other, right? Or I talk to my son and say, look, do you really think we should keep it? We can put it here. We'd have to move a few things first to make it easy before we bring it and put it there. Then we can put that on it. You never know what you might need one day, right? Because I don't think you can cut plexi or tempera. That's the problem with tempera glass. You can't really cut it because once it's made, right? But outside of that, it's the safer glass when you're dealing with greenhouses or whatever, right? Sliding doors, right? So, okay, on to the next subject, which would be, because my day, I don't know what my day is going to be like outside of, I'm going to get off here and I'm going to tune these guitars. And I'm going to sit down with Andre and I'm going to show him a couple chords and I'm going to ask him to start practicing. And then we're going to see where it goes with that. Having conversations with people on YouTube, right, through the messages, posts. And, you see, what I want, some of this stuff I have to, and I have to find the time, right, to write it out. I have to write it out, people, in order to be able to talk through it quickly without veering off here and veering off there, you need your points, right? Can you see that? Right? Because I'm kind of going on to the subject of Shimei now. Shimei, Uncle John, the travesties that go on in our society through the public union sector. That's the subject I'm kind of moving towards, right? In a nutshell, right? With just, for as much as I go about my business in a day, people, at the end of the day, there's that, it's like a dark background, it's dark. Those clouds that kind of are hanging over you, right? Those kind of things. I don't know how to, now I'm looking stupid, right? See, if I had it on a board, narrow it down to, okay, for example, what's making me think about this, right, is, somebody shared a story with me. And that story was, and I can kind of relate, people, because my half brother, suffers from schizophrenia. Okay, and through my travels with learning about schizophrenia with him, it's not something that you want to... That's like Sierra. You know, Sierra has her mental issues for whatever reason, but she keeps bringing them to my house and trying to import them into my household. It's not even my life, people. It's my whole household. She impacts the whole house. She just doesn't impact me, but when she comes, she disrupts Andre. She disrupts Tisha. She disrupts her brother, Marcaine. You know, as Alea May grows and sees what's going on, she'll be disrupting Alea May, right? And what I mean by disrupt, it's like, you know, you're going about your business. You're already stressed out, tired, whatever. You're thinking about something, whatever, but you're at peace. You're, you know, whether you're pickling and just picking through it, or whether you're being hardcore at it in terms of whatever chore that you're doing at that moment, you know, you're at an equilibrium. You're at a hum, where you think that you're going to go through your day without any disruptions, major, right? And you're going to be satisfied for whatever it was that you were doing throughout the day, right? You're going to make it, and you're going to feel satisfied that you accomplished something in your day without major disruptions. And it's not even major, it's below major, right? You know, without those disruptions, never mind a major one. Like, you know, you're doing something, right? You know, you're just doing something, and you're like, and then knock at the door. And then all of a sudden, within a short period of time, it goes from to in an instant. I mean, I'm not the only one that experienced that, I'm sure. Right? This is what you call triggers, okay? These are the things that you have to educate yourself on in terms of, like, what is the triggers in your life to bring that from here to here within less than a millisecond. And it keeps it up there, right? It keeps it up there, and not only does it keep it up there, but it keeps going, right? Right? This is what my daughter brings to the house when she comes, because I want to get to the point, okay? Because the dysfunction around her behavior is so obnoxious, okay? It's obnoxious, people, that people just simply term it toxic, right? And if you have any sense of something in your life, I don't know, right? You don't want to be around toxic people. You get old and tired, and you just, right? Some people learn that sooner than others, right? But when you're a parent or a sibling, like a sister, right? Or a brother, right? Or even a grandparent, for that matter. And, you know, the person that is obnoxious, when they come into your life and import themselves, right, on a regular basis, where it keeps that ping, 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 right? I'm trying to explain it to you, right? Going regularly. Not every day. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be once every 4 days. It could be once every 2 weeks. It could be once every 24 hours. It could be once every month. The point is it just bing, 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 and through this binging creates even more dysfunction. because it affects the whole household. And depending on where you are, and that, I guess they call it a hierarchy within the family, right? You've got a sister like Sierra, I'm just using my daughter as an example, right? Coming to the house on a regular basis. Like, we relax people when she goes to jail. Okay? I get relaxed when she goes to jail. Because I know that as soon as she gets out of jail, whatever fucking ping, 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 ping is going on because of her. Because the public union sector has failed to provide her adequate housing. And I guess you can say mental health services. Right? We know she has no place to go, so she's going to go for what she's familiar with, and because she's my daughter, right, and I'm her mother, she uses that against me in order to come here because she's got nowhere else to go, basically, right? That's the reality for me. Well, the same thing applies for other families where, you know, if I wasn't alive, for example, people, or if I wasn't easily accessible to Sierra, and the only person that Sierra could connect to would be Tisha. What Sierra does to me under the premise of I'm your daughter, she can simply go to Tisha and say, I'm your sister, and keep that obnoxious cycle of ping, 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 ping going, and it erodes on quality of living, right? And you have to ask yourselves, why? Why are some families expected to look after our sick relatives, whether they're a daughter, whether they're a son, whether they are a sister or a brother or even a mother? Oftentimes, children will take on the role of being the parent because the parent themselves are the ones that are ping, 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 and acting like children. So, is it by design that our policing agencies, our justice systems, our social systems, don't ensure that, and I can only speak from example, that my daughter has adequate housing when she gets out of jail. When she gets out of jail, people. Because the minute she gets out of jail, if not the first fucking day, she's gonna be at my door asking me for money. And she expects me to give it to her because for some reason in her pea brain, she seems to think that I stole Andre away from her. And that I get all this money for Andre that I owe her. And when it gets down to that point, and I can see that she's cognitive, and I can actually talk to her for a moment with reasoning, I remind her that everybody suffered. Everybody suffered when Andre was illegally and wrongfully apprehended from this home. Okay? But nobody acts like her except her. And time has passed. And I'm too old for her shit. But yet, at the same time, I am forced to live with it because the public union sector that provides services to people like Sierra are failing to provide them to her in a manner that keeps her stable somewhere else outside of waiting for her to ping, 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 before they finally, scrape her off the fucking cement and haul her ass back off to jail. So she gets out and the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. And depending on the mental illness, you know, Sierra's mild compared to other people, people. Sierra is mild. Her behavior in terms of being a danger to herself or to somebody else is mild. She's 4'9", and all she really has is a big mouth. Outside of that, can you imagine a 6'2" man or a 5'10" man? Right? That's anywhere between 170 to 250 pounds. Right? Going bring, 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 bring. Well, our public union sector kind of releases that monster onto somebody else's family. And if you can't disconnect from that toxicity, and I speak from experience because my brother is schizophrenic, okay? Didn't understand what that meant, people. He went a couple of years without being diagnosed, and, you know, he started displaying symptoms at age 19, which is the average age, and oftentimes it's related to stress. It isn't necessarily hereditary. I don't know all the details as far as I am familiar with. The children that inherit it, I don't know if they get it from the mother or the father. I don't know how they've determined where it comes from, but it's not necessarily hereditary. And the onsets of it doesn't have to come in around the age of 19, 20. It can come in, for some people, in their 40s. So, you know, whether it's genetic or not, the point is that we have it in society, and there's different forms of it. And yes, drugs bring in psychoses, which is not a form of schizophrenia. But at the end of the day, when you look at people like Sierra, and this is the point, okay? When you look at people like Sierra, and it's clear that they cannot look after themselves, and they're actually living breathing human beings who require housing people. Housing. Raccoons can live in a woodshed. For a raccoon to find a woodshed like mine in the city of Surrey is like moving into a castle. Okay? Because they're equipped to live in a woodshed. They need it. So when they have it, it works best for them. Well, it's the same thing with human beings that are homeless. They need shelter. Something that can work for them. And this is what the government doesn't provide to people like Sierra. Some they do, but often, many times, they just release them. The public union sector, okay? I don't release my daughter, people, onto the public to be obnoxious, to take her ping, ping, ping bullshit over there, okay? That's not my agenda. I sit here as a victim to my own daughter for the inability of the public union sector to provide her with even the basics of housing, knowing what they know about her mental state and physical state. Okay? And you have to ask yourself why. Why? Here's the point. Why? Why does the public union sector, for all its money and bragging rights, continue to release somebody that's completely obnoxious, that is incapable of looking after themselves, onto a vulnerable family, and then use that same very person against you at a later date to tweak your family and even add in more. Ping, 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 ping. Right? Did you notice the difference between the pings? Don't breathe! Right? This is where we have to start holding who, people? The government to account because they don't put enough resources into the public union sector, give them better wages, give them better benefits so that they can do a better job. Right? Because the first thing, that's what the union's going to say. Well, if you want better service, we need more workers with more money. Uncle John, in that little temporary care facility. Why is he sitting in a diaper? Well, because we're overworked. We're short one staff member. You know, it's about, we don't have time to go from here to here to here and do this right? Because we're short of staff. Go lobby the government for me, the union worker, right? That's looking after your stepdad. But we don't have time to put him onto a toilet, right? Because we're short on staff. Do you see where I'm going with that one? When they should have just been doing their job. And if they really felt that they were overworked, they should have conglomerated together and lobbied the government themselves to add in for that one extra staff so that the work could have been distributed more evenly. I don't even know where that one went to. Point is our public union sector uses, take it away from my daughter and make it more general, uses dysfunctional individuals that clearly require stabilization for one, and just housing people. It really boils down to housing that is, well, obviously it has to come in on a transitional level, and that's a commitment from a government's point in terms of if you take someone off the street like Sierra, right, and you put her into a transitional housing where, she's completely obnoxious and pinging every 2 minutes, especially if she's going through withdrawals on, drugs. Even if she was clean for a couple of weeks, you have that residue, right? And these medicines that they give them, and then depending on the drugs and depending on their psychoses, whether it's an organic schizophrenic or whether it's a substance-induced schizophrenia, right? I don't know, this is where I need this wipeout board. Maybe it's just too early in the morning to be talking about this stuff. However, we have to raise the bar. We got to raise the bar where if we have a public union sector that says one thing and does another thing, we need to come together and lobby the government, which is really, in essence, people, the public union sector. Okay, it's the government employees that are making the pension plans and the benefit packages. They're the government. They're the ones that control the government. That's why they do the things that they do, because they are the government. The politician just puts something in black and white, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they follow it. That I've shown you. So because of that, they allow people like Sierra, whether it's a mother, a brother, a daughter, a sister, a father, a grandparent, it doesn't matter, within that family hierarchy, right? There are people that come into your lives, and because they feel that they're family and they can call that family card, they will continue to disrupt your life over and over and over again as the people that are supposed to be providing services to those individuals outside of shipping them in and out of jail or to a hospital setting for a short period of time and then kicking them back out. This is the cycle that we're talking about here, right? And anything else in between there, right? We have to start bringing awareness that it's like taking a bomb and planting it in your house and half exploding it every now and then just to see if it works until the big one really goes. And then, of course, the cops can run in, the social workers can run in, the judge can run in, everybody can come in and don't breathe because we're way up here now with a new kind of ping, right? That's how people make money, with pings. Some people make money, other people, they have their lives destroyed from it, right? So, taking it to the next page, right? Taking it to the next page. If you're finding that this behavior is occurring where you live, you know somebody, maybe you have your own personal experience, where you got this person always coming into your ping into your life, and you're looking around asking for help and nobody's helping you, right? You have to ask yourself, why is it that those people in Ohio, those people in freaking the Yukon, those people in Ontario, those people over there in Louisville, right? We're all suffering from the same kind of pings. In other words, the same kind of Sierras. Right? There's many Sierras out there, people. Male and female. Many, many, many. And when you become a targeted individual or your family becomes targeted, right? The public union sector uses the Sierras against you so that they can come in with their own pings and be more aggressive with them, which is designed to hurt your family, right? And it's from one region to another region to another region, but if you listen, people, it's all connected with that siren. It's all connected with the siren. It starts with the siren. If you notice, the cops, the ambulance, they have all the same kind of siren. Everybody has the same. They talk on the same kind of CBs. They drive similar cars, just different paint colors. That's all. All right. So how we get them on board in terms of we're tired. We don't like living our lives like this. You come to me and you tell me that you guys need more staff. Everybody, anytime it comes to a public union sector, it always goes down to, well, we're short-staffed. Well, we're overworked. Well, we need more staff. They try even to say that shit with freaking, what happened to Shimei. Oh, well, we have so many cases. Oh, we're overworked. And I'm like, well, we're talking about Shimei's case here. We're not talking about those cases. We're talking about Shimei. We gotta go. There's another case. What the fuck, man? That same siren. Okay? So how do we fix that problem, people? Because it's a problem for a lot of people. It's a problem for a lot of people, and it's not holding our government employees to account, right? Life is hard enough as it is, and people shouldn't have to live in fear or have their lives constantly disrupted, right, on a regular basis in terms of a whole household, just to accommodate a public union sector that fails to do their job. Whether it's because the politicians, the ones that actually write the legislation and the budget, don't factor in that extra worker or, that amount of facilities in order to accommodate the need. Because everybody's, scraping pennies. Right? That's the big one where it's cutbacks. But if we talk about it, and we're aware about it, and we work to change some things, I don't know what those things are yet, right? It's very hard to come together, that's for sure. It's really, really hard for people to come together. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm talking about in terms of I don't want to say banking system. It's not like a banking system, but it's kind of like a banking system where, people invest their money, into the agenda. People already do it, but they do it through their churches, they do it through their ethnic cultures, but they have yet to do it for the region, right? And when you're in that region, and you're down here with your ping, and then you're over here with your ping, and you're over here. We'll end it here, right? Because I'm just coming, right? And you're over here with your ping, and everybody's got their little pings going on, and just see all these little lights flashing. Well, if we're making all these lights flashing, obviously every little ping that flashes, ping, making a little noise, right? Ping, making a little noise, right? Ping. We've got our own sound going here. Right? We just don't have sirens running around making noise. We've got our own. So the more we become aware that, there needs to be like some social changes in terms of how our public union sector provides services to the public, and without taking responsibility for what they say they're going to do, when in fact, oftentimes they do opposite things. Right? You can't just blame the politician for not writing it into the budget, people. Okay? Not when there's 400, 500, 800,000 government employees that will take up to 50 to 60% of the budget, whatever the budget is for that year. And that's on the surface books. Okay? That's not what's in other individual ledgers tucked away that might take you a little longer to find, right, in terms of how much money is directly going into the public union sector to provide you the services, to release the pings into the community and say you're on your own until that big one goes. And then that's when they show up and they use it against you. And that's what I'm trying to talk about right here in this little... I have to write it down. And we have to explore that concept some more.